So, hello again, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us through all of these amazing talks. We would love to hear more about what you've learned or if you've made any new friends or anything else you enjoyed about today. So, please let us know in the Discord or in the after party. The Discord is going to be live. It has been for the past 3 years and been there for anyone to use, and we would love for people to keep using it in between conferences as much as you'd like, and we can build and shape it to be what we need it to be. But I want to take some time now to go over our transparency report and our plans for the future. And the best person to talk through that, I think, would be Lewis. So, Lewis, can you show us some of the pretty graphs you've been making and talk us through some of those things?
Ooh. Thank you for giving me time to share my screen. I'm literally panicking. I don't know if you can see my face.
Deep breathing.
Excel spreadsheet. Well, not Excel, Google Sheets, but same thing. Who likes graphs? I like graphs. This is our expenses for this year, which, okay, I want to point out something that's like terrifying, but also really exciting. Every year, we've pretty much doubled or more our expenses. So the first year we ran this on about $600. The second year we ran it on like $2,200. And this year we're at like $5,000. So I want to go into that a little bit because it's a big number, but it's also like pretty important. So you can see that like a large part of this is legal services. I'm going to go more into detail in that in a second. But essentially what we're doing here is we're reaching out for documents that are going to help us run the conference into the future. So I'm really excited to like chat about those.
I think the specific term you used, Lewis, was not do a wage theft. That was
not do a wage theft. Yep. I would very much like to not do a wage theft. This is high on my priorities. We also got some copywriting. I'm going to go into these in a second because I'm just like really excited to like flip over to this income side. So this year we did something different. We pushed sponsorship really, really hard. And we also started charging for tickets. So because of that, we actually made $6,700, which, and by made, I mean like that's the amount we came in. That's not like you got to take expenses. Anyway, I'm getting to that. And also I'm putting it in here because we had, like I updated this just before the talk, 0.2% of our profits came from the merch store. So go get some merch. But yeah, so a big thing that we changed this year is we started going for sponsorships because as we started looking forward with Technically Games, we were like, we want to do all this governance stuff. We want to start a non-for-profit, like those, and we want to pay like sponsors. Sorry, not pay sponsors. We want to pay speakers, volunteers, and the organizers. Like these are all things that cost money. So we knew we had to like do something to generate a bit of revenue with the conference as well. So I'm gonna jump straight into the details now because I'm like chomping at the bit. Can I just like say, freaking excited! Look at that. So we brought in $1,400 this year, which I don't know. To me, like that's a lot of money for this conference because every other year we've lost money, which is totally fine. But I'm excited that we've actually not lost money. I'm excited for that.
Also, that's not going to us. Like
no. Okay. And
caveat.
This money is staying there for the next conference. And that's like why I am so excited for this, because that's runway for next year. Not much runway considering our expenses. And I'm gonna touch on that after this. Right after we go through the transparency report, I've got another like 5 minutes that I'm going to be talking about like where we're taking Technically Games in the future. I'm also very excited about that as well. But first, let's do this transparency. So as Kirk mentioned earlier, this year we switched over to new organizers. And as part of that, like we were going to have people helping out for longer periods of time rather than just on the day. So for me, it was really important that we reached out to a lawyer and say, hey, wage theft, ? How do we avoid doing that? So we spent $1,000 $300 on that, which is fantastic. I mean, I would prefer to spend no money, but also legal advice is very good. And not doing a wage theft is very good. After that, so one thing that I want to point out about that as well. So we got like a document out of that has some tangible things we can do to avoid wage theft. And that's a resource that we can use into the future. Staying on that theme, right? We also had a lawyer write up a sponsorship agreement. So one thing that we know we're going to have to do in the future is take more sponsorship. And that requires people to temporarily like give you the right to use their graphics and their like marketing material to broadcast it through YouTube, for instance. It requires us to say, hey, we want to give you all of these things in this tier list of sponsorship opportunities, but you need to give us the material in a timely fashion. And it defines like what happens if you don't give us the material in a timely fashion. And these are all like, when you put those in a legal document, you're just outlining basically what the expectations are for that for what that engagement
relationship.
Yeah, thank you. Relationship. So that's really important to have in the future. And these are one-off costs, which blew out the budget a bit, but are super important. And I'm really glad, just like we did the art rebrand last year, I'm really glad that we can like build up this chest of tools, essentially. The next thing that I want to highlight is this $850 for copywriting. So I actually had a few people email me about asking when the talks were going to go up this year. And some people looked at our history and were like, oh, the conference was in November, but like you didn't get around to like uploading them until like close to the middle of the year after. So this is why that happened. At the end of last year, all three of us, Ben, Lily, and myself, we were like out of energy for the conference. I myself was like super burnt out. I cut together the videos like a couple of months afterwards, and then literally for about 3 months, we didn't post them because no one wanted to write the copy for it, right? And then eventually I was like, this is ridiculous. I need professional help. And literally they just wrote, like, I really respect and like I'm grateful for the work they do. I'm not trying to like diminish that person's job. But for me, I couldn't believe that I just didn't have the ability to write like a thread of tweets announcing talks. I was like, this is ridiculous. But that's what that is, because sometimes you just need help.
You need the help.
And this is a part of why the idea of the governance and all of that is important for the future, right? There's some things that are better to be taken off people's plates to pay for that help. It all can't be done with volunteer help sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes the volunteers are tapped out. I hope to get these videos up in a much more timely fashion this year. After that, we've got things like GatherTown. So our after party tonight, I'm really excited for it. But after parties, this is an online space, and we need to pay for the amount of people that we think are going to show up. So that's what that cost is. That's to pay for like the servers to run the GatherTown, the money to run the GatherTown servers. We also have stickers. Now, last year, hey, look, stickers. Yeah. We said we would get speakers some thank you packs. And those have traditionally been like little sticker thank you packs. And you'll notice that this says 2001. So we, as like I barely managed to get the talks out last year, we didn't actually manage to get the thank you packs out. But this time we have stickers for both years. So I am incredibly excited to go back through the speakers from our previous year. So if you spoke at the conference last year, I am going to ask you for your address if you want to give it to me. Speakers this year get like fancy stuff, and they also get like this sticker pack. Anyway, it's just a small, thoughtful thing that I really like to do because I really appreciate all of the time and effort that the speakers put in. And then we've got to post them around Australia. So this is an actual cost, and these are all actual costs. This is an estimate for how much postage is going to cost. Also, we had, I think in the end, about like 8 or 9, actually 9 people that needed email addresses, like Technically Games email addresses. We use G Suite, which is like $16 a month. So that adds up really quick. So if you're an organizer and you have a Technically Games email address, I am going to shut off your email, like hopefully soon after the conference, because don't want to burn through the budget. But yeah, G Suite hosting costs cost a bit. But the really good thing about that is we get Google Drive with it. And one thing that Kirk helped out a lot with was organizing our Google Drive. So now we have all of our assets in one like drive, so we can use that into the future. I'm really excited about that. The merch store. So just cutting down here, the merch store has brought in about $15 so far. Buy a t-shirt. Actually, I mean, like, we priced the merch store to be like as cheap as possible, so we make like 25 cents per t-shirt. So don't buy a t-shirt if you think you're donating it. Just like buy a t-shirt because you want one. We want them to be as accessible as possible. But yeah, the merch store has a microsite. I'm just gonna go there now because it's freaking rad. Oh, I'm sharing just a tab. Never mind. We're not going to the merch store. You're gonna have to go there yourself. But that costs $200. StreamYard, again, hosting. So that's our website, our domain name. And we had some pre-recorded talks this year. So we had like a 8-core server that ended up being about $8, which is totally cool. So down here, we've got ticket sales. Y'all are amazing, all right? So we have $3,007 in ticket sales, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm blown away. We have a tiered system this year, which I'm sure you've all seen. $10 for students, $25 if you're in the early stages of your career, $50 if you are essentially like making a livable wage from games, and like, I can't elegant words. My brain is melted. I'm so sorry. And the $100 tier. Yeah. Well, thank you, Kirk. And $100 if you just want to support us, which we had a lot of people go for that solidarity tier. I think we had about 9 or 10, which is just blows my mind. Thank you so much to everyone, like not only for buying a ticket, but just like for being part of the community.
And a good
really
half of those, at least at the $100 ticket level, were the first ticket buyers off the block when we started advertising for tickets.
Yeah, I cannot thank you all enough. Like, and it's so inspirational for us to see them coming through. We're like, oh, is anyone gonna like the conference? Like, are we doing okay? And then those come in, and you're like, oh. Warm and fuzzy. Sponsorship. So we had a bunch of sponsors this year. So we had a huge amount of like indie sponsors, which is fantastic. And we had our after party sponsor, Keywords, which again, thank you very much. And we had TechLever as our conference sponsor, which is like freaking rad. You saw them on the slides between talks all day. And you can see, like, without sponsorship, we would have still lost like $1,500, right? So it's only with ticket sales and sponsors combined that we would manage to like essentially accumulate some money that we can put into next year's conference. But yeah, that's why we do this, and that's our transparency report. Does anyone have any questions or things that I should add before we move on?
The thing that I think is important for everyone to appreciate here, Lewis, is how much work you've put in for 3 years, and also to say when you say the event lost money or we would have lost $1,500, what is the exact entity or individual that would have dealt with that in the past and this year?
So I run the conference through my contracting company, which is Connected Play, and when we didn't make enough money to run the conference, that just came out of my business bank account. It's fine. This is fine. Anyway, I'm very glad that wasn't the case this year.
And I just wanted that to be part of the transparency, and also to say thank you, Lewis, because Lewis also did things like go out and buy amazing boutique Lamingtons and then bike them to my house amongst others to deliver them because he's an incredibly wholesome human being. And
He didn't bike
put
to
so much
WA,
into it.
but
Did not write to WA though. The limits of
I
his
did.
wholesomeness.
I did think about shipping them to you though in WA, but I figured that they would melt before they get there.
yeah, it might have been an issue.
Anyway, thank you, Lewis. You're
Sorry.
amazing.
All right. All right. So that's the transparency report. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. This actually segues into another bit that I'm going to talk about. I hope I can see like our viewership numbers has actually gone up while I've been talking about this. So thank you very much for sticking with me through the boring stuff. I actually find it really interesting, but I'm glad that you do too. So this might be a bit of a recap and saying the same thing again, but it's going to be subtly different. So, and I think it bears repeating. Technically Games was created out of a desire for more technical content in the Australian game space. And we knew that if we were going to make something new, we wanted it to be a safe and inclusive space for industry workers to meet and freely share knowledge at any point in their career. Like I was saying earlier, to achieve that, we sent out some core tenets. So these were creating a safe and welcoming space, adding value to the existing games community in Australia, offering professional development opportunities and knowledge sharing for games practitioners at all levels, especially for artists and programmers, and providing a platform for talks that take a deep dive into the subject matter of a technical nature. Why did I write such tongue twisters? I'm absolutely humbled by the support that we've received across the board from mentors to speakers, volunteers, and other conference organizers and other industry veterans who have helped guide us along that journey. We already mentioned at the start of Technically Games that you might have noticed Lily and Ben have taken a well-deserved break from organizing. Again, I am just hugely thankful for the time and energy that they've both put into creating Technically Games with me. And I'm really glad that they're getting a chance to take a break this year. So just to like recap, and I think this is really important after we've gone through like the budget side of things, the transparency report. Every year comes with its own set of challenges. Like I said, the first year we asked ourselves, how do you run a conference, right? And it blows my mind that we were like, yeah, let's make a conference from start to finish, 1 month. It appeared, and like, I'm getting all like tingly feeling about it, but like having speakers jump on with no track record being like, yeah, we want to make a conference. It's a pandemic. Like you can share from your couch if you want, like, and people came on board and like supported us and mentored us. I'm just freaking blown away. So the first year we figured out how do you run a conference, right? We did so much learning. The second year we kind of needed to ask ourselves, how do you differentiate yourself from other conferences? Because we were like, oh, we just do technical games content, right? But you have this image of what a conference is in your head, and we need to make sure that that image that we're building is different from what already exists, because we are different from what exists. But if you don't tell that narrative, like people don't comprehend it, I guess. So that's what we kind of like tried to do the second year. The third year, this year, we asked, how do you run a conference sustainably? Because we're tired. And like one thing that I knew for sure going into this is that I wouldn't be able to run it alone, essentially. So more story time. I put a call out on Discord and our Eventbrite emailing list. I know a lot of the people watching today might have come to that town hall meeting. And that was like, at the time I was feeling really down in the dumps. I was like, this is a really insurmountable task, but we had a bunch of people show up and offer like help to run it, to run this year's conference. So yeah, to my surprise, I was humbled again when Liam, Kirk, Shane, Jared, and Andrew stepped up to organize this year's conference with me. So thank you. I hugely appreciate it. So I've got a question for all of you. How do we run a sustainable conference?
Ask other people to do it.
Yeah, I still don't know.
Sorry.
I still don't entirely know that yet. But I'm pretty sure that it starts with community, right? One thing that we want Technically Games to be is community orientated from the ground up. So you all watching at home right now, I'm like talking directly to you when I say this. This is an invitation to you. Help us build something a little bit special with equal parts wholesome and fantastic. It's really ambitious, and I don't know if we'll have the money to do it or the people to do it, but hear me out. You don't know if you don't try, so let's give it a go. The plan is we want to take any leftover money from the conference this year, which was the $1.5 grand-ish, give or take. And we want to use that to spin up a not-for-profit to run the conference year to year. I can tell you straight off the bat, I'm highly skeptical of whether we'll be able to spin up another, like a non-for-profit entity out of that, but we'll see how we go. Maybe we get some more sponsors that want to help us spin that up, essentially. Or maybe we decide to continue to use Connected Play until we have enough money to spin up a non-for-profit. But that's the plan that we're kind of heading for. There's two parts to that. So first, we need to create a system to bring in new organizers with fresh perspectives that meaningfully represent our industry. And like, it's really important to me that we try our absolute hardest to not have a glass ceiling here, because I want the organizers that have the creative vision for what Technically Games is. I want that to be the star of the show that can essentially come in and bring direction, right? Bring that that creative vision for what it is and have that control. The second part of that, right, is you can't just jump into a conference and be like, all right, I'm going to change everything. We're going to do all of this stuff. Like, that takes a lot of time and a lot of expertise and a lot of learnings. So we want to create a board to retain institutional knowledge from year to year and to handle governance. These are the people who are going to keep the lights on, right? We need people to run the website. We need to run an Eventbrite, a Discord server. We need to do the paperwork. But those are things that we can have people that show up year to year, do a couple of days of work, and then that's done, right? There's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be a glamorous job. It's just someone has to do it. And that's essentially what we're looking to do with the board. Yeah, so the board is essentially going to retain that institutional knowledge from year to year and handle governments. I totally lost track of where I was going with this sentence. I apologize. Yeah, okay, so these people might be people with strong industry connections that can help support these new organizers, right? Because we're going to need to support them through this. So they can support them with access to speakers, access to sponsors, or just generally give advice on industry trends, right? And I'm not saying that this is one individual person. I'm saying this is a bunch of different people that can help unlock these different areas and provide support in these different areas. Or it could be some other specialist knowledge to help support our organizers. So there you have it. To summarize, we want to create a board to retain institutional knowledge that can support organizers to achieve their vision for the conference. I just want to reiterate again, I think it's fairly obvious. Technically Games has never been a for-profit venture. But if we want to bring in, and this is key, if we want to bring in a diverse range of organizers, I think it's really important that we pay them for their time. So as we grow, success looks like bringing in enough money to pay speakers, to pay volunteers, and to pay the organizers. So to achieve anything close to that, we're going to need a lot of hands. And it could be something as simple as helping amplify our call for speakers next year by letting colleagues know, by letting your friends know, or your social group when our call for speakers comes out. Or on the other extreme, maybe you're interested in being one of the organizers next year. Even simply buying a ticket, like you've done today, hugely helps us. So wherever you're comfortable on that spectrum, if you want to help, we want to hear from you. Can someone post a sign up link on the Discord for me if we haven't already, to the form that lets people sign up to help? And that's kind of it from me. I'm going to pass back to Kirk if you are ready, and we're going to thank some volunteers.
Yeah.
Give me like 30 seconds because I need to share my screen. But yeah, waffle on. You got it. You got this.
All right. So we couldn't do anything or any of this without our wonderful crew of volunteers who have kept things running behind the scenes and in front of the camera and have been super dedicated to helping us prepare for this event. There's a little note here where we're going to show the volunteers and organizers. So let's just play like the countdown music. Dun, 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 dun. How you doing, Lewis?
Good. I'm getting there.
All right, keep going. Yeah. That's it.
Hey,
there we go.
Look at all these awesome.
These are all the wonderful people. All the wonderful people. Please wave. You're being appreciated and adored.
Can we get like a shout out in?
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. In Lamington Lounge, can we get some claps for these people?
Or should I say
I've gone to the wrong thing. There we go. Back. Yeah.
All these terrific people. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks are also due to Lewis, Andrea, and Tim for being part of our lead moderator team and keeping us all safe and looking after the community. So thank you to all of those folks. A huge thanks to Keywords for being our sponsor for the after party, which is later tonight. Please, everyone, check that out, at least to have a play around in Gathertown. It's a bit of a fun platform, and Liam has done an amazing job putting that together, working with Giselle from Keywords, amongst others. Some of you may know Giselle from around the community, and if you don't, you should. She is amazing. And to Tech Lover for being one of our other major sponsor for this conference. So thank you very much to Tech Lover. We've also been privileged to have a fantastic lineup of indie sponsors who we just are so jazzed to be spruiking. We have Ticket to Earth from Robot Circus, which Lewis and Liam know a little bit about. Forest Paths by Swords Narrative. Red Point Games. Red Handed. The Owl, the Thief, and the Strawberries, which is an incredibly cute looking game that I need to look at a little bit more. Melbourne Mega Games, also sensational. Please check them out. It is just such a fun session. I had the opportunity to play with them. Spies and Soldiers, brilliantly fun game. Again, Lewis and Liam know a thing or two about that. And No Duff Security, which is me. And you. Thank you for being part of the community and financially supporting the conference by purchasing tickets. It's because of you that all of our sponsors and all of our sponsors that we were able to run this for the first time, not at a loss, but to gain a little bit of ground for future years. So thank you very much for that. Lewis, this next part seems to be for you, so I'll pass back over to you.
It is. Last but not least, please help me thank the fantastic team of volunteer organizers who stepped up and helped run the conference this year. Send some Discord love in general. Kirk, Liam, Andrew, Jared, Shane, myself, and all of the people who helped behind the scenes with mentoring, advice, support, a coffee chat here, a lunch break there. Without you, there would be no conference this year. Like 100%. Without a single one of you, there would be no conference. And Lily and Ben, who helped start the conference with me 2 years ago. To all of you, thank you so much for coming.
This year as well.
Yeah, Lily, who emceed 2 panels.
Thank you for coming with me on this amazingly stressful and deeply rewarding journey. Yeah. And let's hear from Jared.
I think that brings us to the end of the conference. I'm just saying. I think we've actually. I'm actually quite surprised that we've already gotten through most of the day. It doesn't feel like it's been 7 hours. It feels like it's been 2. And even then, I think 7 hours is I can't do math anymore. That's fine. Let's go and have an after party. Let's have a fun time. If you did miss any of the talks, we will be putting them up on the Technically Games YouTube channel as soon as they're ready, as well as with the permissions of each of the speakers. So subscribe if you want to know when they're out, with the added bonus that we can turn off ads if we get 1,000 subscribers. So do subscribe, like, share.
Cool.
Thank you all again for joining us for Technically Games. We feel super honored that we have now been able to do this for 3 years in a row. And every year there's just smiles that go around. There's knowledge to be had. And I think we all sort of go home just feeling so wholesome that we've been able to put all this together. So we'll all be hanging around at the after party into the evening. So if you want to chat to any of us that are here, any of the speakers, the volunteers that are coming around, or any of the attendees that are there, feel free. We might even have some code names being played as well, and some other games as well. So do check them out. Have a great rest of the day, folks. Thank you all for attending. Stay safe, enjoy life, and we'll see you all in 2023 for Technically Games
bye.
23.